Hello and good afternoon. It brings me great pleasure to be sitting here with Dr. Yuvraj Kapadia. Yuvraj is a stockbroker turned renowned healer and hypnotherapist and my very own teacher. A lot of what I know and do comes from what I have learned from Yuvraj. So Yuvraj, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on this program. It's a pleasure, as always.
Yuvraj, I'd like you to share with us what got you into this work and what had you step away from being a stockbroker, being in that world, to being in the world of healing, hypnotherapy, and what you're doing now.
All right. Stock markets, like most other institutions, are absolutely fantastic schools of life because they teach you the A, B, C, D, E, and very often X, Y, Z of life too. The only difference between the stock market and other schools is the education is rather expensive. You can sometimes spend a lot of money trying to learn the basics of life. So I'm no different. So I went through my own vagaries of life and then lost a lot of money, which compelled me to start questioning about what happened to all the gold medal techniques that were there in my head and how is it that I was on the wrong side of life. So as they often say, pain is the universe making you introspect, and that started my journey. Okay. Where did the journey conclude? The journey concluded by me pretty much understanding that everything that I got caught up into, directly or indirectly, was something which at some level I was pretty much influencing, if not controlling. And when I cracked that, I understood that, and from there the journey of self-healing, and through it, healing your environment commenced. That's it.
So what was the turning point for you? When did you realize that, okay, this is an expensive lesson that I've learned, and that there actually even is a lesson? Because most people don't even think of life as being lessons. We get up
Correct.
And we go through the motions and that's it. So what was your turning point and how did you get to that?
Yeah, so when I lost this whole chunk of money, for about 8 years I was pretty much in the wilderness trying to figure out ways to get out of this. How do I solve this? And it was pretty much hitting a wall. So I'd get a breakthrough and then I'd hit another wall. And that continued for 8 long years till in a moment which I today probably look back at as a moment of defining divine grace in my life. I just went into a series of autoregressions on my own, going back in time, going back across time and space, and concluded that the biggest learning which I did not acknowledge to myself as a stockbroker was the fact that when I was handling something that belongs to people, I needed to take more responsibility, to be more aware, to be more grounded to the signals that were coming, which in my own blind greed I completely ignored. So the moment I acknowledged that lesson to myself and said, okay, this is what I should have done, well, I couldn't do it, but I've now learned that what I couldn't solve for 8 years got sorted out within 3 months.
Although not many people out there will probably go through this experience to get that from themselves. So is there any advice that you will give to those people that are going through a lot of pain in their current situation, but they don't have the privilege of going through what you went through?
Well, one very simple line. If we truly believe that we are lords and masters of our own universe, then our truth starts and ends with us. Which means, whether or not you go into regressions or not, please stop the blame game. Stop blaming people. Stop blaming situations. And I'm not saying that you use that as a premise to blame yourself either. Understand that an event has happened with you. It may be unfortunate. You have had your own contributory role to play in it. Just examine your own role and check, is there anything you could have done differently or you could have done better? And even by doing that, you are consciously taking responsibility for becoming a better person towards yourself and a better personality for humanity.
In Hong Kong in particular, especially in my experience, I have noticed that many people are doing things by choice that are not giving them happiness. And they feel they're in a no choice type of situation and that's their truth. Like, I have to do this even though I don't want to. I have to attend this place. I have to be in this relationship. I have to go here. And they're basically not happy doing that. So what could you advise these people?
To be able to come to any kind of conclusion in which you're examining your own role, you need to take time out. Many people are very scared of taking time out because they're scared of confronting what they're doing, which is contributing to their mess. Which is why we create these illusions of being so busy that we have no other choice, we have to keep doing this, etc., etc., etc. Because we are scared about looking inwards. We're scared to acknowledge that we are the ones who made this happen. We won't be able to blame anybody else anymore. So it all starts from taking time out and saying, okay, hold on, I just need to check. So if you can take a break from your constant banter of pushing yourself and saying, I hate to do this, but I must do it, I must do it, I must do it. This I must do it creates an illusion that you're indispensable to this world, which is not true at all. Okay. Because when you stop breathing, the only thing that will stop in your life is you and nothing else. So if that's going to happen at death, why don't you do that in any case right now? Take time out, withdraw, introspect, come to a conclusion, make a shift, and things start changing.
Does this withdrawal actually give you the courage to make that shift?
Absolutely it does. Because you suddenly realize when you spend time with yourself that you are far more resourceful than what you or your environment ever thought you to be. And that resource doesn't come to you till you focus on your own self.
What you said also brought up something interesting for me. You said listen to your feelings. But our feelings don't necessarily always point us towards what we want to do. So for example, if we want to go to the gym and lose weight, we will not feel like going to the gym every day. But if you tell us to listen to those feelings, then we're not going to end up getting that goal. So how do we listen to our feelings and yet get to where we want?
All right. Listening to the feeling acknowledges its presence.
Yeah.
What you want to do with it is a separate story altogether. Okay. So your action should be based on what you think, but your acknowledgement should be based on what you feel. They've become more responsible for who they are. They're exploring and experimenting with this new paradigm, this new shift of trying to take responsibility. Of course, that's not an easy task because you're challenging very old programs, but I see people are trying to do that. And they're getting some success. They're a little confused. I would typically call it a consciousness in transition. It's something that is now aiming to try and adapt to what can perhaps be a very powerful reality in the future.
Right. So you've seen the shift in Hong Kong, the shift in consciousness, and now you see from that pain, people are introspecting naturally.
Yes.
Because people generally start introspecting when there's pain in their lives.
Correct.
Right? Is there a way where we don't have to feel pain to do this introspection? Is there a way where we can just do this introspection naturally so we don't have to keep experiencing those really painful moments?
Well, all pain comes in life with lack of courage. So if you're true and authentic to yourself in every moment, you can avoid a lot of pain. The problem with people is they're too scared of being rejected. They're too dependent on approval from other people, including society, including their own altruistic norms in their head. And to break free from that is not so easy, which is why pain becomes a norm or a teacher that pushes us in the right direction. But if you had the courage to be authentic, if you had the guts to be absolutely and brutally true to what you always felt in your heart, you have one brilliant, loving, compassionate teacher sitting out there in your heart who's constantly guiding you about what to do purely through the paradigm of what you feel. So listen to what you feel. Be true to that. It may be a little difficult, but if you consistently do that, life will be fantastic eventually.
Yuvraj, before we end, any words for our audience? Any words from you?
Well, words for other people will also simply mean that I'm guiding them to follow what I do, which again is not true. So, if at all they want to do something about that, they just need to start understanding that they are unique and they are who they are and they have their own program that will give them joy. So have the courage to pursue your joy, have the courage to understand that being happy is all there is to life, nothing more and nothing less. And go for it.
Great. Thank you. Very different type of inspiration here. You know, we normally get inspired by people and we want to emulate them. Here, we're getting told something very different, which is great. Be inspired by yourself, follow yourself, and be as you as possible. So thank you so much, Yuvraj, for your time.
It's a pleasure, as always.